Okay, so you guys sent in some excerpts for us to look at this time
Hmm.
from Spiritual Breakthrough, the journey.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be great to kind of take a deep dive into that and what exactly this journey towards a spiritual breakthrough might look like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, instead of just focusing on the words themselves, spiritual breakthrough, right? Just that phrase,
Right.
we can actually use these excerpts to kind of see, well, how is this work in particular defining it? And what are some of the ways in which it explores the concept?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that really jumped out at me when I was reading these excerpts
Hmm.
was was how much emphasis the author places on moments of profound disconnection
Hmm.
as being like almost a prerequisite for this journey.
Yeah.
Like you can't even begin this journey until you have these moments of profound disconnection.
Right. It's almost like the journey doesn't start with you wanting something new.
Yeah.
It starts with you kind of realizing that something is off,
Right.
that something's not quite right.
Yeah. It's like a recognition that things are not as they should be.
Exactly. Yeah, and what's interesting is that these excerpts, they don't present that disconnection
Right.
as a purely negative thing. It's not like, oh, you're feeling disconnected, therefore
Right.
something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
It's more like, no, this is actually a vital ingredient. It's a catalyst.
Yeah.
This feeling of disconnection is what propels you to search for something more meaningful.
And the author even goes into some of the ways in which that might manifest for people,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
like a sense of meaninglessness,
Yeah.
even when you're outwardly very successful.
Right. Yeah, that feeling of like, I've achieved everything I thought I wanted to achieve,
Yeah.
but I still feel empty.
Yeah, and also this feeling of being uh, separate from other people and the world around you.
Yeah, like a fundamental sense of isolation.
Yeah. Did any of those kind of resonate with you?
Yeah. I think what's interesting is that the excerpts, they acknowledge that disconnection isn't this like one size fits all experience.
Right.
For some people, it could be that emptiness after achieving a goal.
Yeah.
But for others, it might be this much deeper existential crisis, you
Right.
know? Like, why am I here? What's the point of all this?
Yeah.
So it's suggesting that this journey, this
Yeah.
spiritual breakthrough journey, is really a personal response
Yeah.
to a very personal starting point.
So we have this disconnection.
Right.
And then how do you even begin to take the first steps?
Well, the author seems to emphasize the importance of introspection,
Okay.
turning inwards. And there's a lot of talk about things like mindful self-inquiry
Okay.
and what they call witnessing your inner landscape, but without judgment. It's about observing your thoughts and feelings rather than just immediately reacting to them.
Right. So it's not about trying to change anything immediately.
Right.
It's just about taking stock of what's there.
Exactly. It's like you need to understand the terrain of your inner world
Yeah.
before you can even start navigating it towards a breakthrough.
And the excerpts also talk about this idea of egoic identification.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So as this author uses the term egoic identification, it's that tendency we have to define ourselves based solely on our thoughts, our beliefs,
Right.
our achievements, our external roles. And the journey, the spiritual breakthrough journey, involves recognizing
Yeah.
that those identifications are just constructs. They're not your true essence.
Okay.
So loosening the grip of these identifications, that seems to be a crucial part of this whole process.
And it's not always easy, right?
Absolutely not.
Like the excerpts talk about specific challenges
Yes.
that you might encounter on this journey.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
There are going to be obstacles.
What are some of the obstacles that the author talks about?
Well, one major one is resistance to change. Even if you're unhappy with your current situation,
Yeah.
the familiar can be surprisingly comfortable.
Right.
It's what,
Yeah. It's that comfort zone.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I don't like this, but at least I know what it is.
Yeah. And so the excerpts talk about how fear of the unknown
Right.
and clinging to old patterns, even when they're not serving you anymore,
Yeah.
that can really create some huge roadblocks.
And the author even mentions something called the dark night of the soul, which sounds kind of scary.
It does sound intense, right?
Yeah.
But the excerpts explain that the dark night of the soul isn't necessarily a literal event.
Okay.
It's more like a period of intense inner turmoil, doubt, and this feeling of like losing all meaning and connection.
Like an existential crisis almost?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But the important thing is that the excerpts present this dark night not as a failure,
Right.
but as a potential stage of purification and transformation
Right.
that often precedes a major